The first time she smiled at me, I almost missed it. I was too busy carrying a box of old memories into my apartment, trying to convince myself that starting over didn't hurt as much as leaving everything behind. Then I looked up and saw my neighbor standing on her porch with a camera in one hand and tears she refused to let fall hiding behind her eyes. 3 weeks later, she would ask me to take photos for her dating profile. 2 hours after that, she would quietly lower her phone, look directly at me, and say the words that changed both our lives forever. She didn't need strangers to choose her anymore. She wanted to know if I would. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can heal broken hearts and that everyone deserves a second chance at love, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that remind us how powerful compassion can truly be. My name is Ethan, and at 34 years old, I had become an expert at pretending I was fine. After my engagement collapsed just months before my wedding, I packed everything that could fit into an old pickup truck and rented a small apartment in a quiet neighborhood where nobody knew my past. I told everyone I wanted peace, but the truth was much harder to admit. I wanted a place where nobody would ask why the happiest chapter of my life had ended before it even began. My apartment overlooked a peaceful street lined with maple trees, and every morning I watched neighbors wave to one another while I kept my curtains half closed, convinced that staying invisible was safer than risking another heartbreak. The woman next door was named Lily. She worked from home as a graphic designer, spent her evenings watering flowers that seemed impossibly colorful, and greeted everyone with a smile that looked genuine until you noticed how quickly it disappeared whenever she thought nobody was watching. She always seemed surrounded by beauty, yet loneliness followed her like a quiet shadow. We exchanged polite greetings for weeks, sometimes helping each other carry groceries or bringing in packages left outside. Neither of us knew how much we had in common because both of us had become experts at hiding pain behind ordinary routines. One rainy Saturday afternoon, I noticed her struggling with a broken patio chair while trying to rearrange her backyard. I offered to help without thinking twice. As we fixed the chair together beneath a gray sky, conversation came easier than either of us expected. She admitted she had lived alone for nearly 4 years after ending a relationship that had slowly convinced her she wasn't enough. Instead of arguing or shouting, her former boyfriend had mastered something even crueler. He had made her question her worth until she believed she deserved to feel invisible. When she finally walked away, she escaped the relationship but carried every cruel word with her. Listening to her story felt strangely familiar because heartbreak often speaks the same language, even when the details are different. I told her about my broken engagement and how I blamed myself for not seeing the warning signs earlier. Neither of us offered easy advice because we both knew healing doesn't happen through clever words. Sometimes the greatest comfort comes from simply realizing someone else understands your silence. As summer slowly settled over the neighborhood, our friendship grew naturally. We shared morning coffee on weekends, helped each other with small home projects, and laughed over simple things that somehow made life feel lighter. Yet every evening, we returned to separate homes carrying the same unanswered question. Could people who had been hurt ever trust love again? One afternoon, Lily knocked on my door holding her phone with an embarrassed smile. She confessed that after months of encouragement from friends, she had finally downloaded a dating app. The problem was that every picture she owned either looked awkward or reminded her of painful memories. Since photography had always been my favorite hobby, she wondered if I could help take new pictures for her profile. I agreed immediately, thinking it would simply be another friendly favor. We spent the afternoon walking through a nearby botanical garden where golden sunlight filtered through towering trees. Instead of posing like strangers chasing perfection, we laughed at butterflies landing on our shoulders, joked about ridiculous dating profiles, and forgot the camera existed half the time. Every photograph captured something no filter could create. They captured a woman slowly remembering how to smile without forcing it. As I reviewed the pictures on my camera, I noticed something unexpected. The most beautiful photographs weren't the carefully planned ones. They were the moments between poses when Lily forgot anyone was watching. Those were the moments when her kindness, strength, and quiet courage shined brighter than perfect makeup or fashionable clothes ever could. Looking through the lens, I realized I wasn't just photographing someone beautiful. I was watching someone rediscover herself. When we returned to her porch, she sat quietly beside me as we scrolled through the images together. Her smile slowly faded into thoughtful silence. She stared at her phone where the dating app waited to receive its new photos. Minutes passed without either of us speaking. Finally, she locked the screen, placed the phone face down on the table, and looked at me with eyes filled with equal parts fear and hope. She admitted that spending one afternoon laughing with me had felt more real than months of imagining conversations with strangers online. Then she gently suggested forgetting the app altogether and asked if I would simply take her out instead. For a few seconds, time seemed to stop. My heart wanted to answer immediately, but fear interrupted before hope could speak. Every painful memory from my past rushed back at once. What if I ruined another relationship? What if friendship was safer than risking everything? I could see the same uncertainty reflected in her eyes because she wasn't just asking for dinner. She was asking whether two wounded people could believe in love one more time. I said yes. Our first official date wasn't expensive or extravagant. We visited a small family-owned diner by the river where old songs played softly from worn-out speakers. We talked for hours about childhood dreams, embarrassing mistakes, favorite books, and everything heartbreak had taught us about gratitude. Neither of us tried to impress the other because pretending had already stolen enough years from our lives. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't afraid of tomorrow. Love, however, rarely arrives without testing whether we truly believe in it. Just as our relationship began to deepen, Lily received a job offer in another city nearly 6 hours away. It promised financial security, career growth, and opportunities she had spent years working toward. Accepting it seemed like the obvious choice. Staying meant risking everything on a relationship that was still new. Once again, life forced us to choose between fear and faith. Neither of us wanted the other to sacrifice lifelong dreams. We spent difficult days discussing every possibility, refusing to pressure one another into impossible decisions. Some nights we cried because growing closer had made the possibility of losing each other even more painful. Yet through every conversation, one truth remained unchanged. Real love doesn't demand that someone become smaller. It encourages both people to become the best versions of themselves. Instead of asking Lily to stay, I encouraged her to accept the opportunity. Watching her chase her dreams mattered more than protecting my own comfort. Before she left, I surprised her by framing one of the photographs from the botanical garden. It wasn't the perfect smiling picture meant for a dating profile. It was the candid image where she looked away from the camera while laughing at something completely ordinary. On the back of the frame, I wrote that this was the moment I realized happiness returns when we stop searching for perfection and start appreciating what is already beside us. The months apart were not easy. We learned that long-distance relationships require patience stronger than romance alone. Video calls replaced evening walks. Goodnight messages replaced front porch conversations. Birthdays were celebrated through screens instead of shared dinners. Yet every challenge strengthened our trust because we chose each other every single day despite the distance. Almost a year later, Lily returned to our neighborhood carrying more confidence than when she had left. She had accepted a remote promotion that allowed her to work from anywhere. Standing on the same sidewalk where our friendship had first begun, she laughed as she reminded me about the dating app photos that had never been uploaded. One unexpected afternoon had rewritten both our futures in ways neither of us could have imagined. If this story has touched your heart so far, please support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with your friends and family, subscribing for more inspiring stories, and leaving a comment about a moment when kindness or a second chance changed your own life. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need hope today. Special request: before the ending, please comment with the words, "Love finds its way," if you believe the best